Hey, this is part 2 of chapter 1. We're looking at the 4 functions of management first, and then we're going to go into the 4 types of managers. So the 4 functions, and I understand that my face is getting in the way here a little bit, and then I just zoomed out because there's this automatic panning thing going on here. There we go. So we got planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So I'm trying to adjust everything so you can see these things. First, planning. What is planning? So what you're not seeing is goals. You're determining organizational goals. And sometimes as a manager, we're determining organizational goals that are in line with the goals of the managers ahead of us or above us. So it's a tiered down goal structure. Our CEO makes the goals or decisions on where our businesses, where we're going to compete and in which markets we're going to compete, and how we're going to compete. And then we make our goals as middle managers or first line managers in relationship to those. Organizing, deciding where decisions will be made, who will do what jobs and tasks, and who will work for whom in the company. We're looking at the structure, and there's a chapter where we really get into organizational structure, and depending on the customers you serve, the product you have, your geographical locations, we can do different organizations to help facilitate competition and so forth. Okay, the last 2 are leading and controlling. Leading is this part where let me see if I can make this a little better. I'm not sure. Nope. Inspiring and motivating workers to work harder and achieve organizational goals. We're going to get into what a good leader is and the qualities of good leadership, but one of the main things a good leader does is inspire and motivate. But also, a good leader also helps their employees know that they're winning or how they're going to win. The last part is controlling. And sometimes when we think of controlling, we think of micromanaging, but it's not that at all. Controlling is just tracking the progress we're making. Sometimes we control through a lot of IT enhancements that help us track our progress towards our goals. And then if we're noticing that we're not meeting those or we're not progressing fast enough, then we're going to take corrective action, trying to figure out what's holding us back and make changes so that we're doing better, right? Okay, so those are the 4 management functions: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So now we're going to go on to the types of managers. What are the 4 kinds of managers, and what do they do? So our main 4 kinds are top managers. I've said this before, but top managers, middle managers, first line managers, and then it's not even a management position, but it's in the management structure, and those are team leads. Okay, let's go to our first, top managers. When we think of top managers, we're thinking about executives. So CEO stands for Chief Executive Officer, COO, Chief Operations Officer, CFO, Chief Financial Officer, CIO, Chief Information Officer. Right? So when you see any of those, you know we're talking about top managers. Now, one of the interesting things, if you have a very small company, your CEO might be, they're still the top manager, but they also might act as a middle manager and a first line manager, just depending on how big or how flat the organization is. So what do these guys do? They give the overall direction of the organization. Again, do we want to compete in China? And if we're going to do that, how are we going to compete in China? Or India, or wherever we want to go? And what product lines do we want to compete in? Or do we want to expand or diversify our portfolio? They always have to create a context for change. Change is a constant in business. And one of the biggest problems we have is change management. I even did a course in my MBA program just on dealing with change and change management because it's so important. They develop employees' commitment to and ownership of the company's performance. They do this in a lot of different ways. Some of those ways are stock options. But the idea is, shareholders own the company, but we represent the company, and we take pride in that representation, and we have duties and so forth. Create a positive organizational culture through language and action and through storytelling. And we're going to get into that later too. There's half a chapter just devoted to culture. It's a big topic. And monitor the business environment. And what are we doing when we monitor the business environment? We're doing actually SWOT analysis, where we're looking at our strengths and weaknesses and trying to match those up with our external opportunities and our external threats, and then trying to position ourselves in such a way that we can perform better. So that's what top managers do. Let's move on to middle managers. So these are our plant managers, our regional managers, and our divisional managers. So they set goals, again, consistent with what they're getting from the top. And then they implement these strategies and try to coordinate between the subunits to make those things happen. They allocate resources. There's a lot of budgeting, that type of thing. They're linking groups. They're just helping coordinate activities between maybe plants, maybe divisions, maybe regions, just depending on how the organization is set up. And they are monitoring and they're managing the subunits and doing some controlling so they can report on up about their region or their plant to the top management. Next, we have first-line managers. Now, these are the managers that the hourly employees probably deal with the most. There are office managers or shift managers or department managers. Their job is to train, supervise the performance of non-managerial employees, so our non-exempt employees, and some exempt employees. They encourage, monitor, and reward employee performance. They really need to get to know their employees to do that well, and they're in charge of scheduling and operating plans and like buying inventory and customer relationships and vendor relationships and all sorts of the internal workings. There's usually a lot of first-line managers compared to the other manager positions. Not as many as team leads. Now again, team leads aren't managers. They don't have hiring authority. They don't have raise authority. They'll usually consult the first-line managers in those areas, but they don't have direct responsibility for them. They facilitate the team towards the goals set by those above them. Sometimes they get input on how those goals can best be met. A lot of time, these team leads do a lot of training. They're actually critical, in my opinion, to a well-functioning business. What else do they do? They manage internal and external relationships. Sometimes there's a lot of sharing of resources that have to happen because I'm on a line, I'm a team lead of line A, and line B has a machine that breaks or a work center that's down. And they can work around that, but they have to use a work center or a machine out of line A. So the team leads from the two lines will get together and make sure that they have a good flow through that combined work center. So again, our managers are top managers, our COOs, our CEIOs, our middle managers, our plant managers and regional managers. Our first line managers are the guys who handle the employees, and usually our hourly employees, and our team leads facilitate our first line manager in their responsibilities and take care of problems, and actually they're the grease that make it run. All right, that's it for this video.